Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about a few free tips that you can use to build your business online in today's digital world. So this is specifically for contractors and tradespeople. We're going to show you a few specific ways that our industry can use to find a few extra leads every month that might be able to make the difference. And so we're going to start off with the first one, the most important. And if you look right here in the middle of my screen, you'll see a few data points here. And this is currently, I believe, it's just on the past 28 days. So only 1 month where we've received this kind of activity. Now keep in mind this is a seasonal business, so if I were to show you guys the insights in summer, you'd probably see them at least double, if not triple, what they are currently. So just quickly, we'll put everything on a quarterly mode. So right here you can see like Landscaping Ottawa, where right now it's February 9th, 2020, so it's totally not the time of year. Again, those numbers would be much higher, and we're still receiving a decent 143 people. We can go down. You know, here is really where you're going to see the big increase, is if I had this on a quarterly mode in the middle of summer. These numbers are usually going to be somewhere around every month. We'll put in a monthly amount. These would be around 120. I'd receive at least 25 to 30 calls, and messages to us would probably be at least 4, 3 or 4. So those are something that's definitely very interesting and extremely tangible. If you're not doing this currently, you need to take it super seriously. Google My Business, as you guys know, like Google's trying to own everything. So for them, in a business sense, this is one piece. I mean, if people are coming onto your Google My Business listing, Google's eliminating them even needing for you to go to your website. So everything's being done directly through Google. I mean, if you go down here, you see this messages to you. Messages is not on your website. Messages is through Google service. Call you. That's not on your website. So they're really trying to push these here, right, as much as they can to try and become Google owns all. They don't even want people to have to leave their Google browser to find things. You might have seen similarly in when you ask questions. Previously, you'd have to go through the posts themselves that come up with the answers, but now they give you a short format of the post answers right at the top of Google, so you don't even need to click in the post anymore. It's all done through Google. So again, everything is moving into a Google type of owns everything world, and so you need to be adjusting quickly, or else, I mean, it's already a little bit late, but you might as well get it while you still can. It's almost hitting its peak right now. It's still growing, and this will completely transform your business without a doubt if you take it seriously. So a few things you need to know to be taking it seriously. Let's go talk about photos. You definitely need to be having photos, but not just self-uploaded photos. You also want to be having photos that your customers are posting about you. So whether it be when they leave a review, they should be adding a photo if they can. Obviously, you're not going to push your customer to leave a photo, but you can say, hey, I have this perfect picture I took of your interlock job that I did for you. Would you mind posting it with the photo? So you can make it easier so she doesn't have to take the picture, right? And so as easy as you can make it for them, then the more you'll get them, right? So photos is one, and then as well directly on the page is the other, either by yourself or someone else. So either they can leave it in the review or directly within the listing. So that's pictures, all right? Pictures are pretty important. There's a lot of new things that came about that need to be talked about Google My Business. So the other one is messaging. Messaging is a new feature where you'll be able to see your messages on the app if you have it. So if you have the app installed on your phone, you'll be able to log into the app and actually receive direct messages. It used to be through text message that they would send it to you, but now they've consolidated it, again, as Google owns everything, into a Google app. It's just the Google My Business app regular, but within the app here, I'll show you quickly. I'm not too sure if it's going to display very well on the camera itself, but we'll see what happens here. So I'm just navigating to my business now, and then we're going to go to customers and messages. All right. And so this is essentially what it would look like here, your messages. All right, within Google My Business. And you'll be able to see customer messages. They come in pretty frequently often. It's still a very new feature for people, so it's not something that's overly used. But what actually happens is at the top of your Google listing, if they click on your name out of the local Snap Pack, for example, then it's going to show a Contact Us Now button. So we can try and do it right now quickly and see what happens. So if we go Ottawa Landscaping here, let's say, for example, we were to click on ours here, presidential properties. Sometimes it's tough to recreate it because Google oftentimes tests and untests the things that they're using, and so it may come up, it may not, and also they're debating on, oh, is this something that we want to focus just on mobile or on desktop? So if they tested on desktop, it doesn't look like it's showing up now, but it would be showing up right here on top with a blue button, which you can customize your call to action, but sometimes it say contact us now or view a special promo. So that changes. So that's another thing about the Google My Business. So going back into it, adding pictures, your messaging, reviews is extremely important, and it's not just for the SEO part. You can see here we got our first bad review. It was actually through a service that we contracted out, but other than that, all 5-star reviews. And so, yeah, basically keeping a high-end reviews. And as you guys can see, like, I try and answer most of them. It's very important that you be answering the customers, because it shows to businesses and your prospects that, hey, you know what? These guys actually care about their customers. They're replying back. And also in an SEO stance, Google does give you a good point bonus if you are replying to your customers. All right. Next thing is your info. You're going to be wanting to be optimizing all of your tags, SEO optimized for keywords. You're going to want to be adding as many relevant categories as possible. You should have an address if you want to have the highest possibility of ranking. If you watch my previous video on NAP, you should be making sure that all your name, address, and phone numbers are corresponding across all platforms. Your hours of service, your phone number should all be the same and displayed the same. Address, have an appointments link, the whole 9 yards should be there. Services you offer, etc., with a nice little description. All right. And this is just the basics. I won't dive in too quickly, but that's what you need to be doing for Google My Business to be working effectively, and many more, which we help many businesses do. But we'll keep it at this for this specific video, since we're trying to touch on a few other subjects. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about HOUZZ. So HOUZZ is another one that has been coming up quite a bit lately. I think it's slowly dying, but it's not there yet. People are still using it to find jobs. I should probably say too, I'm not the most active on HOUZZ either, so I'm sure if there's somebody that really took the initiative and kept things very updated on HOUZZ, they'd be able to get a decent amount of leads. But for me, myself, I've been able to generate anywhere between 2, 3, and 4 new leads per year just through HOUZZ for projects. And so that becomes interesting. I mean, it's just an additional source. When we're talking about free ways to get leads, you're just trying to do as many as you can and really put your time in those that matter. And so, for example, I wouldn't put as much time into developing my HOUZZ profile as I would into my Google My Business profile, because one is means a lot more than the other. Although there's certain aspects where it might differ. Maybe not for the Google My Business, because it does have a huge importance. But let's say I was comparing, for example, YELP and HOUZZ. All right, YELP is another good one. They give you roughly the same amount of leads, but maybe a little bit lower quality. Although, if you're in the United States, YELP is huge. If you're in Canada, YELP is not so huge. And so it'd probably be better to focus your attention on HOUZZ, because HOUZZ is specifically for this kind of stuff. And so you're more likely to get somebody who's been doing their research about it and who's a ready prospect to buy, has already a good idea of what they're looking for. Whereas YELP, you probably won't get the same quality of leads. And again, YELP is diminishing, and you're going to receive spam phone calls from all of their salespeople forever. That's the other thing. All right. So now moving on to the next one. We're going to do HomeStars first. We'll get to KIJIJI. I know everybody knows KIJIJI, but we'll get to there in a sec. So HomeStars is another one. It's free to a certain extent. They've really pushed it to be paid, but there is some leads that still come in through free methods, and so it's definitely something to still sign up, make a profile. Depending on your area, you know what? Like I've seen HomeStars. It looks like a very good platform. From the people that I've talked to that have used it, they get their money back roughly a bit more. It's nothing like huge. You're not going to be getting obviously as much returns as you would doing different marketing methods, which we've talked about previously. But out of all of the ones, again, we're talking about ways to get free extra leads. So if you're generating an extra 1, 2, 3 leads a month, or 3 leads a year, sorry, that just adds to the total, right? And it's something that really helps. Now you might find that, hey, you know what, let's just try it out for a month and see what happens. That's the kind of thing that might be interesting for you guys to do. That's another platform, Homestars. You can compare it with the Yelp. Now again, if you're in an area where Homestars is not huge, because I know it's probably, from what I remember, a more Canadian thing, maybe you guys are going to use Angie's List on the other hand, right? Angie's List is another one where you can pay per lead, so it's not as much of an expense as it would be to pay for a subscription, for example, as you would in some other places. But yeah, moving on, another free one that you guys can be using. KIJIJI, or I guess Craigslist if you're in the U.S. But the one caveat about this that most people know, and this is why I didn't start out with it, is you're likely going to get a lot of lower end clients. Some people call them bottom of the barrel. I wouldn't go all the way to say that. People are looking to get a deal for the most part when they're on these sites, but don't minimize the size of the contract you can get. Funny enough, like when I was first starting out, one of the larger contracts that we had received, it was even worse than KIJIJI. You guys probably don't even know it, but it's a very small classified site called Used Ottawa, and they would have one for every city, so use the other city. And let's put in a market share proportion. Like, I'm just taking a rough estimate, but market share for KIJIJI was like 80%, and these guys were 20%, just to give you a relative example. Like, these guys were way smaller. But one of the largest clients that we had received at the time when we first started out came from Used Ottawa. And so it's just to say that every single place counts. How long does it take you to go ahead and post a KIJIJI ad? I'm being serious. It's going to take you, if you have, all you do is you copy and put a very optimized headline. If you suck at writing, go hire someone on Fiverr who does copywriting and get them to write you a headline and a 200-word body that talks about your product and service. And it's going to cost you 20, 30. And if you really want to be good, you buy someone that's going to do it for $100, but he's really, really good. And now you keep on posting that same format template for the next 3 years, and that $100 investment has paid itself off so many times. Because even if you receive only one new lead per time you post, it's one new lead you would have never got, right? And so this is just things where people always tell me, like, what are ways that I can be getting more leads? And, oh, I don't have money for AdWords. What can I do? Here you go. These are ways you can do it. All right. Now, it does help if you have a little bit of money. Like, these are free for the most part, but if you spend $100 or $50 or even $20 on hiring a copywriter, or if you think you're good enough yourself, then do it. Put in a good optimized title tag that talks to the person's needs and benefits, that creates a sense of urgency and creates a sense of professionalism and answers those questions that they're asking in their head as they're deciding, is this the right fit for us? Right? Now, understand you're probably not going to get the most interesting leads that are going to come through here. They are going to be lower, but it's for the time being. Once you have money to start investing into more things like Google AdWords, Facebook ads, SEO, then you're going to start seeing the quality improve. Then you won't even need to use KIJIJI because you're going to have your website, and your website is going to speak to the clients and tell them, hey, you know what? We only handle bigger projects because that's our stature. But right now, if you're first starting out, or if you're looking for free ways to get leads, these are the best that you're going to be able to get for now, and then you keep on improving. But really, as we talked about, guys, like, the most important that you need to be focusing on right now in 2020 is the Google My Business. If you haven't yet, or if you have already, but it's just a little bit done, get your butts on fire and get going. It's the number one thing that you could be doing to increase the amount of leads that you're getting in 2020. Thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good one.